students. Today we are studying our chapter number 5 of geography section, that is water. Right? Students, as you know, the water is the basic necessity of our life. In every sphere of life, we need water. Even whatever it is, like our drinking, washing, irrigation, and industries also need a huge quantity of water. Right? So we cannot imagine our life without water. So if we talked about the water, you might see rivers, waterfalls, raindrops, and water in your taps, right? So when we talked about the water, you think about these things, right? Which contain water, whether it can be river, it can be a waterfall, it can be your water taps, and even rainfall, right? So mostly all of you loved to play with paper boats during the rainy season. Like this time, the rainy season is going on, and where there is a collection of water in the depression area, you might be happy to play with the paper boats, right? In our childhood, we make a lot of paper boats and float into the water, right? We have a great fun at that time. I don't know about you. By noon, the puddles vanish, right? So these rain puddles, which are filled with water during the time of rainfall, right? Suppose in the morning there is rainfall, all the depression area, all the puddles will fill with rain, right? But at the noon, if the rain will be stopped, after some time these puddles will vanish. So where does this water go? At the morning the water was there, but at noon, when there is no rain for a long time, then these puddles will vanish. Where this water will go? The sun's heat cause, it means the sun's heat cause evaporation of water into vapor, right? Where this water goes, suppose this is a water body filled with water. What would happen when the sun rays will fall? Due to the sun rays, the temperature will get high and this water will evaporate, right? Evaporate means the water will change in gaseous form, correct? It's like a pan filled with water. You can experiment this process in your home also. Place a pan with fill of water on a gas stove and let the gas on, right? Place a when you will stay this pan on the gas, on the burning gas, for a long time, 2 to 3 hours, what would happen? The water will finished, right? And you will see, when the water will start boiling, there will be some steam, right? That is a gaseous form of water. Means when we heat the water changes in the gaseous form, means it evaporates. Similarly, it happens in the water bodies. In the water bodies, where they get the heat from the sun. When the sun heats fall on the water bodies like oceans, rivers, what would happen? The temperature of water will get higher, and due to the high temperature, the water will convert into the gaseous form and it will convert into the water vapors, right? Now what would happen? This evaporate water, the water evaporate, this water evaporate and rise up in the atmosphere. When it reach to the atmosphere, there is low temperature. Due to this low temperature, these water vapors cool down, right? And when they cool down, they became condensed and they form clouds, right? So they condense means they begin to accumulate. Suppose this is water vapor, and what would happen due to the process of cold cold area or low temperature, they will convert into a bigger object that is called condensation, and it forms clouds, right? And what would happen, because they became heavy due to the condensation, so the air could not hold it and it began to drop it, right? So it began to fall on the land in the form of rain, snow and sleet, right? Sleet, when the rain and snow is falling together at the surface, right? So the process by which water continually change its form and circulates between oceans, atmosphere and land is known as the water cycle. Now what do you mean by water cycle? As you see, the first in the picture you can see, the firstly, from the water bodies, the evaporation took place. When it reached at the atmosphere, it condensed. When it condensed, it began to fall down at the surface. Again, the surface is filled with water, and due to the heat, it will again converted into the evaporation, again condensation, again precipitation. So this water cycle is going on continuously, that is known as water cycle, right? Our earth is like a terrarium. What do you mean by terrarium? Terrarium is an artificial, it is an artificial enclosure for keeping small house plants, right? You have learned about aquarium where the artificially fish were kept. So terrarium means where the small plants are artificially grown. So our earth is also like a terrarium. The same water that exists centuries ago still exists today, because the water cycle is going on. But what the amount of water which reached to the atmosphere, it also reached to the surface in the next step. So this water is continuously going on at the surface. So the water used to irrigate a field in Haryana may have flowed down the Amazon River 100 years ago. It doesn't mean that the water which will evaporate from a particular water body, that will drop in that body also. Suppose the water is evaporating from a Pacific Ocean, the near surrounding areas will get the precipitation and the rivers will flow, and this water will flow again into the Pacific Ocean, right? So the water in Haryana may be found in Amazon River. That is only an example. So the major sources of fresh waters are the rivers, ponds, springs and glaciers, right? So these are the major sources of our fresh water. Clear? So the ocean bodies and the sea contains salt water, right? So here we discuss fresh water bodies, that is river, pond, springs and glaciers, right? Because all this and get from rainfall, right? When these rivers mixed in the oceans, right, then the ocean water exists. So the oceanic bodies, the seas, they contain salt water. The water of the oceans is salty and saline, as it contains large amount of salts, and these large amount of salt included sodium chloride and the common table salt that you eat, right? From where we make the salt? From the seashore, right? From the sea water, because it is salty and contain many more salts. When the water is evaporated from that area, the salt is remained, and so oceanic water contains salt. So in this map you can see, in the map you can see the different lakes and different rivers. In the North America, there are lakes like Lake Winnipeg, Mississippi River, Lake Huo, right? So there are L means lake. You have to identify the lake, right? So Salt Lake City is there. And in South America, there is Amazon River, and between these two, there is a sea, Caribbean Sea. In Africa, there is two rivers. That is, here is one river and Congo River, right? Lake Victoria. Between Europe and Africa, there is Mediterranean Sea, Black Sea, and Caspian Sea, right? So in Australia there is also another river. You have to identify these rivers and marked in your notebooks also, right? So distribution of water bodies. Now come to the distribution of water bodies. When we talked about the salt, this means the sea water contains salt. It means it makes the water saline. What do you mean by salinity? So mark this one. Salinity is the salinity is the amount of salt grams of water. 1000 gram means 1 liter, right? How much salt is present in 1 liter water? That is called salinity, right? So average salinity of the oceans is 35 parts per thousand, right? So this is the average salinity of entire oceans, but different oceans have different salinity, right? If the salinity will be higher, the more dense the water will be more dense. So distribution of water bodies, if we focus on this topic, we must know that there are 3/4 of the earth's surface is covered by water. It means there is a plenty of water over the surface of the earth, and that's why we called our earth a blue planet, right? Still, we talk sometimes that there is a water scarcity. If our three-fourth part of our earth is covered with water, then how can be there water shortage? Because there is that is due to the distribution of water. Which type of water is available on the earth's surface? Now look at the table. You will focus first oceans. Oceans contain 97.3% of total water present at the earth's surface, but we cannot use these water because oceanic water is a water, so it is no, it cannot be used. Ice caps, the water is containing in the ice form, and that is 2%. Only 1% we have in the form of fresh water, that is in different forms like groundwater, that is 0.68, freshwater lakes 0.009, inland seas and salt lakes, that is 0.009, atmosphere 0.0019, and rivers contain only 0.001%, only 1% fresh water, right? So that's why we talked about the water shortage, because most of the water present, 99% of the water present at the surface of the earth is not usable for our daily purposes, right? So here is a salinity. If we talk about the salinity, that is The Dead Sea have the maximum salinity, that is 340 grams per liter of water, that is in Israel. Swimmer can float in it because it increases salt content and make it salt will increase, it will increase the density of the water. Remember it. So here you can imagine the distribution of water is very uneven. In your textbook there is an activity, you can by this activity you can imagine the distribution of water on the surface of the earth. Suppose you have taken 2 liters of water and let it represent the total water on the surface of the earth. Means this 2-liter water is total water present on the earth. Now measure 12 spoons of water and throw it into another vessel. So the water which is left behind in the vessel, that will represent the salty water which is found in oceans, right? So this water is obviously not fit for consuming. It is saline. The 12 spoons which we took out from 2 liter, that was taken in a bowl, that amount of fresh water on earth. Right. So if you will get 12 spoons from 2 liter, it hardly matters, you know, because it is very little amount of water. Right. Similarly, our earth has a plenty of water, but among this plenty of water, only 1% of water is our usable water. So the figure shows us the distribution of this fresh water. In this figure you can see one drop is equal to water. So how much little amount present in the rivers? Half spoon is like fresh water lakes, half spoon only. 2 spoons is lying as a groundwater, and 9 spoons are found in the form of ice caps. So water is absolutely essential for our survival, as I told you earlier. But water alone can quench our thirst when we are thirsty. No matter there is a cold drink, some soft drinks are also there, but when you feel thirsty, only the water can quench your thirst, right? So now don't you think we are wasting a precious resource when we use water carelessly, right? So when we talked about the save the water and all that, it means we are using the water carelessly, because only 1% water is usable which is present over on the surface of the earth. So we have to use the water very efficiently, because the our water is very essential for our survival, right? Without water there is no life. In each and every field we need water, right? So what is the importance of water? You can get now. The water is usable for drinking, for washing clothes, for bathing, right? And in spite of all these, water is very much essential for the irrigation. Without water we cannot grow crops. Even our industrialization is also depend upon water, because most of the industries like iron and steel industries, cotton industries, all these industries are totally depend upon the water, right? For dyeing, washing, and all these processes are depend upon the water. So water is the basic necessity, and that's why we should use it very carefully. Now come to the next topic, that is ocean circulation. How the water moves within the oceans, right? So when you walk bare feet on the seashore, that is like a magic, right? Because on the seashore there is a wet sand and the cool breeze, seabirds, smell of the salt in the air, and music of the waves. All these things make us pleasant. right? So these things makes us our environment very refreshing. So we will feel fascinated when we move on the sea beach. Whenever you get the chance to visit the sea beach, please do it, because it is very pleasant experience, right? So unlike the calm water of ponds and lakes, calm water means stable. In the ponds and lakes, the water is static, stable, like, but in the ocean water, it keep on moving, it continuously moving, so it is never still. The movements that occurs in oceans can be broadly categorized as waves, tides, and currents, in which form the ocean water moves, that is known as, first is wave, second is tide, and the third is current. In these three forms, the oceanic water moves on. So due to the importance of water, March 22 is celebrated as World Water Day, when the need to conserve water is reinforced in different ways. Right? So remember this keynote also. Now we will focus how the ocean water circulate in the forms of waves, tides, and currents. Come to the first one, waves. Waves, when the oceanic water moves up and down like this, that is called waves. Here the wave rises and again it fall down, again rise and again fall down. That is called waves. How they generate? They are generated due to the presence of wind. Like when the wind blows over the oceans, the water begin to move along with the wind and the waves are produced, right? So if you throw a ball in the sea beach, what would happen? These waves throw it back on the shore, right? So that is only due to the waves, because the water is getting up and down, again up and again down, again up and again down. So the things move from up and down, right? So when the water on the surface of the ocean rises and fall alternatively, they are called waves, right? So waves are formed when winds carp across the ocean surface, right? So where and how the waves generate? Due to the presence of wind. If the winds blows intensively, very high speed, at very high speed, if the winds are blowing, the waves will be higher, right? So the bigger waves will become, because the waves get the energy to move from the wind. During a storm, what would happen? There is wind, right? But during a storm, there is a intensity of wind, means the speed of the winds get higher, and due to the higher speed of winds, there were huge waves. These may cause tremendous destructions. When the waves will get higher, what would happen? The water will enter into the surrounding area, right? So it will cause the destruction. But when it will happen? Because there is a oceanic crust, right? In the third chapter we discussed about the oceanic crust. There is oceanic crust, and within the oceanic crust there is earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. When the volcanic eruptions or the earthquakes occurs in within the oceanic crust, what would happen? Due to these processes, the waves goes higher, and these waves are known as tsunamis. The higher waves are known as tsunamis. It can be higher as 15 meter, right? So the height of the tsunamis can be 15 meter. Largest tsunami ever measured was 150 meter high. right? So these waves travel at a speed of more than 700 kilometer per year per hour. It means they are so destructive. They are spreading in the surrounding area very frequently, and it destruct all the things. And it happened in the Indian Ocean in 2004 when the coastal areas of India get the tsunamis, and the Indira Point in the Andaman and Nicobar Island got submerged after this tsunami. Right, so many villages, many buildings, many surrounding areas, many forest villages, whatever in the surrounding area is present, that got destructed due to the presence of tsunamis. Right, so tsunami, the Earth's pandemonium. Tsunami are the harbor waves struck havoc in the Indian Ocean on the 26th December 2004. By this, you are before this you have to know what is tsunami. It is basically a Japanese word, and it means harbor waves because it destroyed the harbors when it comes. Right, this type of tsunami also came into the Indian Ocean in 2004. What was the result and how it comes? What was the intensity of these waves? That is given in this box. You have to read this also. The wave was a result of the earthquake, and that had its epicenter close to the western boundary of Sumatra, right? Western boundary Burma side, right? So the magnitude of the earthquake was 9 on the Richter scale. It is the upper limit of earthquakes. So it was very intensive earthquake which occurs in the Indian plate. As the Indian plate went in under the Burma plate, there was a sudden movement of the sea floor causing earthquake, because Indian plate and Burma plate was moving, and Indian plates gone downward in the Burma plate. That's why the Indra points submerged into the ocean. The ocean floor was displaced by 10 to 20 meter and tidal in a downwardly direction. A huge mass of ocean water flowed to fill in the gap, and that was being created by the displacement. This marked the withdrawal of the water mass from the coastlines of the land masses in the South and Southeast Asia. After thrusting of the Indian plate below the Burma plate, the water mass rushed backward towards the coastline. Right? So tsunami traveled at a speed of at that time 800 kilometer per hour, and comparable to speed of commercial aircraft, completely washed away some of the islands in the Indian Ocean. It have a speed like an aircraft, and it submerged some of the islands in the Indian Ocean, and one of them is Indira Point, which is our southernmost boundary, right? Which is the southernmost boundary of the Indian subcontinent. So Indira Point in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands that mark the southernmost point of India got completely submerged. So it is an important question. When it submerged in 2004 tsunami. As the wave moved from earthquake epicenter from Sumatra towards the Andaman Islands and Sri Lanka, the wave length decreased with increasing depth of water. As the depth of water will decrease, amount of water will decrease, the wave's length will decrease. The travel speed also get declined from 700 to 900 kilometer per hour to less than only 70 kilometer per hour. So tsunamis waves traveled up to a depth of 3 kilometers from the coast, killing more than 10,000 people were killed at that time, affected more than lakh of houses. In India, the worst affected were the coastal areas of Andhra Pradesh. The region which are mostly affected by this tsunami were Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Pondicherry, and the Andaman and Nicobar Island. While the earthquake cannot be predicted in advance, it is possible to give a 3-hour notice of a potential tsunamis. right? Because we cannot predict the earthquake, when will the earthquake will occur. So we cannot protect ourselves from the tsunamis, right? When the cyclones are coming, right, we can predict, but we cannot predict the earthquakes. That's why the tsunamis are also unpredictable. Such early warning systems are in place across the Pacific Ocean. Now, what happened due to these tsunamis and due to the lot of destruction caused by these tsunamis? What happened? Some alarming systems are there in the Pacific Oceans now, which alarm us about the changes or the movement of the Earth's crust, so that we can protect ourselves. If we get 2 to 3 hours before the earthquake, we came to know that the earthquake is coming, and there we have 2 to 3 hours, we can protect ourselves. But not in the Indian Ocean. But this type of alarming situation, alarming instruments are not placed in the Indian Ocean. So tsunamis are rare in the Indian Oceans, as the seismic activity is less as compared to the Pacific Ocean. That's why these instruments are placed in the Pacific Oceans. If you have any doubt regarding this, you can ask. Okay, let's continue. The tsunami that ravaged the South and Southeast Asian coast in December 2004 is most devastating tsunami in the last several hundred years, right? So it caused so much destruction, it crossed the limit of 100 years. The large damage caused to life and property, right, was primarily a result of lack of monitoring, the early warning system. Why we got this so much destruction? Because we don't have the proper monitoring system, proper warning system, and we don't have the knowledge. Who are living in the coastal areas, they don't have the knowledge about the tsunamis and the earthquakes. The first indication that tsunamis is approaching in the rapid withdrawal of water from the coastal region, followed by destructive wave. When this happens on the coast, instead of total going to high ground, they start assembling at the coast. That was also a drawback, because people were not aware about what they have to do during the tsunamis. They have to go at the upland areas, but instead of it, they began to assemble at the coast, right? So at the coast of the view the miracle. As a consequence, there was a large casualty of curious onlookers, because the people want to see what is happening in the